So this is a great question because therapy is already a lot of hard work, and EMDR, it just goes down to the base layers of everything. So to be vulnerable and share all these things is hard, but you have to remember that you should be dealing with a professional, someone who has empathy, but someone who is also non-judgmental and knows how to coach you through therapy and knows when and how to pivot and bring you back to a safe mental space. The thing I will say, I think I've just kind of lucked up with therapists over the years. I had a therapist back in 2009 when I had postpartum depression. She was a recommendation from my midwife, and I stuck with her for about 8 years. Took a break from therapy, went back to therapy after my dad passed away in 2021. And while we were in the middle of doing that talk therapy, that's when we decided, okay, I need something a little bit deeper. I needed EMDR. So I was still seeing my talk therapist every single week as I was doing EMDR monthly. So the way I found my EMDR therapist was on psychologytoday.com. I just, you can put in like who takes your insurance or where do you live, what kind of therapy are you looking for? Do you want it to be a woman, a man, black, white, whatever. And for me, I felt like I really needed a black woman for this. But I still was open. So I just did a lot of research. I narrowed down the people that seemed like they would be a good match, and then I'm a Googler, so I was going to their website, I was like googling their names, like I'm just digging. So the particularly that I ended up with, I loved her website. I know you can't judge a book by its cover, but like she just seemed like a really warm person. So I was like, okay, I booked a virtual consult with her. We had a good, 45-minute conversation, maybe not 45 minutes, maybe it was like 20-30-minute conversation, just about what my goals were, like baseline. And I told her to let me think about it because the intensives insurance does not cover, so it was going to be a huge financial commitment too. That being said, I knew I needed to do the work. I needed to get unstuck. Again, I at the time was 43 years old. I was like, I got to wrap this shit up because I got to keep it moving with my life. So my very first appointment, she's an hour outside of DC in Virginia, so my very first appointment was maybe 2 hours long, and that was kind of the intake. It was her really breaking down the process of how she works, specifically what EMDR is, even though I've watched every YouTube and TikTok about it. She talked about how her process works. She gave me some book recommendations. We talked about like what are the specific goals. So of course I had homework that I need to do in that, the 3 or 4 weeks until our next session. So by the time I came back to the next session, which was the full 4-hour session, we had already had a rapport. We learned a lot about each other, and she made me feel comfortable. Now I will say this, you shouldn't go with the first person that you meet, especially if they make you feel uncomfortable. Like I said, maybe I just lucked up, I don't know. But whoever you end up doing a consult with, just really use your judgment. And if you feel like it's not a good match, even if they're not a bad therapist, they just may not be for you, and that's okay. So feel free to do, a few consults, pick from those. You may luck up, and the first one you do, you're like, I like this person. And then even when you start, if you're like, maybe this isn't working, that's fine too. But like, seriously, just kind of, use your judgment. And it's a hard process, but she made me feel absolutely comfortable. So I had no problem spilling my guts. I really didn't. And she was very encouraging. She did push me. She would push me. She was like, nope, I need you to go deeper. And it's, like I said, it's hard work. So just do your research. Get on Psychology Today or any other site, Google, whatever, your area, find EMDR therapists there, do the consult, talk to them on the phone. Just make sure that you feel comfortable overall. That's the best advice I can give you. Good luck.